The play grew out of a dissatisfaction with what I saw as a lack of political interest and political involvement on the part of the theater people that I was involved with. It actually, for me, that goes all the way back to about the run-up to the Iraq War. I was rehearsing The Seagull with a bunch of people, and I thought, oh, wait a minute, what's going on? Why are none of us out there trying to stop this thing? And that kept festering in the back of my mind, and the play began as a rant. It just started as a rant. I just sort of poured it out on the page of what I wanted to say about theater and why theater, this immensely powerful political device, this thing that had been feared by the powerful at one time, had become essentially, if anything, irrelevant to power. I had got interested in the issues of agrarian rebellion and the issues of the dispossession of the peasantry. I had been interested in that for years. I read that stuff when I was in university. And all of the time that I've worked on reading Shakespeare and things like that, that's always been in the back of my mind. What was going on? What was the context of this stuff? And what would that have been like to have been an actor at that time? The change in the role of actors, the change in the role of the theater that would, I think, largely happen around that time, probably a bit before Shakespeare's time, but the increasing respectability of the theater and of actors, and the taking them out of the category of being alongside thieves and vagabonds and the general refuse of society. I was interested in that process. How did that process happen? And what would that have been like for an actor to have seen the theater go that way, to become more respectable? One of the things is when I tell people a story, people often will come back and say, well, God, it sounds awful, or you sound like you're really unhappy. Cheer up and say, what are you talking about? I'm telling a funny story. I think it's funny. They think I'm whining. I think I'm telling a funny story. So I'm glad that in this thing, my whining turned out to be funny. When I moved away from writing a rant to telling a story, that's when the humor entered. And the humor entered because I'm writing a story, and things occur to me as I'm writing the story. They're only funny, frankly, they're only funny because of the way they're told. I think it's a good play about theater. I think it's also interesting about history. I'm interested in history. I'm a history buff. I actually think it's kind of entertaining about Shakespeare. I will gladly yield to anybody who criticizes the way it depicts Shakespeare, or that that the supposed takedown of Shakespeare is not complete. Of course, it's not really about Shakespeare. It's not even really about history. It's about the theater. And I think for anybody involved in theater, I think it might give them a boost, a kind of a burst of enthusiasm from seeing what, again, because it's about what theater was and what theater could be again.